Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so glad to welcome you all to our fourth webinar series entitled Beyond the Render, Bring Your Revit Models to Life with Twinmotion. So my name is Isabel. I'll be your host for today. Um, so you've already designed the vision. Now it's time to make your clients feel it. This session is about transforming static Revit models into immersive real-time experiences, the kind that speak louder than words, win approvals faster, and of course, truly bring your design to life. So the agenda for today will be introduction of what Twinmotion is, and also we will have a technical demo as well as some advanced features of Twinmotion. And of course, there's going to be polls and a Q&A. So now, speaking of the experts, let's welcome the brilliant minds leading today's session, which is, first of all, it's Ms. Tolene Awad. Tolene is, of course, customer success strategist of Accienta. She's a BIM Collaborate Pro expert as well for Accienta. And we also have Ram. Ram is a senior technical consultant at Reddington, Middle East, Africa. So Ram is in charge for the deep understanding of Autodesk ecosystem and regional industry needs. He will shed light on how centralized collaboration through Autodesk Docs is helping companies align with BIM standards and streamline their project documentation processes. So today's session, they'll be walking us through how Twinmotion fits seamlessly into your Revit workflows and elevate your presentations from informative to unforgettable. So let's get started. Deline, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Isabel, for this introduction. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session. So as Isabel said, if you have any questions, just feel free to drop them down in the Q&A box, or you can also type them in the chat, and we will be more than happy to answer all of your questions at the end of this webinar. So today we're excited to present the collaboration between Twinmotion and Autodesk. So here we're going to explore the numerous advantages it brings to the architectural visualization and design workflows. So let's dive in. Firstly, we just want to introduce Revit for you real quick. So Ram, if you want to jump on that, just go ahead.
Amazing, Tulin. Thank you so much. I was just waiting for this webinar to happen because I could see the relationship between the Revit and the Twinmotion is just evolving, where the designers and the architects, where they wanted to quickly come up with the real-time visualizations, they bring their thoughts over here. Well, the people who are joined this webinar, welcome. Thank you so much for sparing your time for this webinar. Hope we keep you engaged in this one. And I hope many of you are well aware of Revit, and some of you might be using Revit for your modeling and the designing your architectural and building projects. And there's going to be a lot of how the BIM model that you can integrate with the Twinmotion, which is a kind of the real-time render where you can come up with the beautiful visualizations, and also how you can use your model to talk to the client in their language when they wanted to have the material changed when it comes into the design phasing or 4D simulation type of the sectioning as well. So that's going to be a amazing thing about the Revit. Well, yeah, you can also just take a small Revit project to the Twinmotion, or quite a small scale BIM model also to the Twinmotion over here. And that's what you're going to see further into the coming slides as well. That's great. Yeah. So let's see what exactly the Twinmotion is in the next slide. Amazing. Yeah. So I hope many of you know what is Twinmotion and where the Twinmotion is coming from. All right. So Twinmotion is coming from the company called Epic Games. And Epic Games, for the game developers, they know what is Epic Game and how those render engines can help them to make them become wow when they play the games here. And now the Twinmotion has become a part of the industry collections within Autodesk, which is called as AEC collection, Architecture, Engineering, and Construction collection. And if you are the one who's using the existing architecture, engineering, and construction collection license, you have the access to this Twinmotion, and we're going to tell you how to access the Twinmotion with your Autodesk credential, not directly getting into the subscription or creating an account to get the separate Epic Games as well. Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
We'll push to the
So
next
if
slide.
I might
Yeah,
add
sorry.
something there, if we can go back one slide, thank you, Ram, for the introduction. Now, as a leading BIM platform, Revit actually facilitates efficient coordination and it reduces errors. It also enhances the overall project lifecycle by integrating various design disciplines and project phases. So on the right, we can see a screenshot of the project that we will be working on today together. So this project is a residential unit. It's, let's say, a house for 4 people. They're living in it. Now, this was modeled using Revit. As we told you, it's a powerful BIM software. Now, if we go next to the next slide, we can see the same screenshot, but it was taken from Twinmotion. So with Twinmotion, as Ram said, you can produce stunning high-quality renders. You can visualize animations and experience your designs in real-time virtual reality environments. So its advanced rendering capabilities bring your architectural vision to life. Now, the purpose of Revit is to create basic renders, plans, and models. The purpose of Twinmotion is only for the visualization. So Twinmotion does not replace Revit or vice versa. Twinmotion only enhances the visual aspect of the model itself. So if we go back to the slide and then next again, just to show you the difference. No, if you go back. Yes, just to show you the difference real quick between Revit and Twinmotion's visualization. So go next, sorry, great. So here we just see how it completely realistic it looks. It looks like as if I went down the street and took a picture with my phone actually. And of course, the more details, the more elements we add, the more realistic it will look. So again, between Twinmotion and Revit, there is a link, which basically data exchanging. So it's a not a two-way synchronization, actually. So whatever you change in Revit is changed in Twinmotion, but not the opposite. So whatever you change in Twinmotion is not reflected in Revit itself. So if we go next. Now, what is Twinmotion once again? With Twinmotion, you can produce, as we said, stunning high-quality renders. You can go from CAD to BIM to photoreal in just minutes. So with Twinmotion, you can clearly communicate your ideas, respond to feedback on the fly. You can also enable every stakeholder to experience your design's full potential before a single brick is laid. So now we're telling you all of this information. I don't want you to feel overwhelmed. We're going to walk you through a technical demo just to show you how easy it is to use Twinmotion. So next. Now, before we show you why to use, how we use Twinmotion, let's tell you why to use Twinmotion. Now, Twinmotion will allow you to aggregate, iterate, communicate. It will allow you to bring your scene to life. You can put it all in context. You can share your vision with multiple stakeholders. So if we go next, what do we mean by aggregate, iterate, and communicate? Now, it's not, as we said, it's not a two-way process, a two-way change process. It's a one-way change process. So you can also effectively communicate your ideas by reflecting them on the model itself. So in the background, you can also see an interior shot taken from Twinmotion. So this project is also created using interior spaces. You can model using a BIM software such as Revit, and then you can add all of your elements. So if we go next. Again, you can bring your scene to life using realistic environments, animated elements, immersive walkthroughs. Next, please. And you can put it all in context. So what do we mean by that? You can choose the environmental context, whether it was the weather, the time of the day, the site integration. So if you want, you can just reflect winter on your project. You can also add some little snowflakes. So basically, it's very user-friendly. It's very realistic. You can choose the time of the day, whether you want the shot to be taken at a sunset, you can take it at sunrise, you can take it through the night. So if you want to see how your lights act when it's at nighttime, if you want to see how does it act when it's in the morning, how the shadows portray inside of the house itself, how it's reflected on the model itself. And if we go next, you can also see how you can share your vision. Now, basically, you can create compelling presentations, the storytelling tools that it has, Twinmotion has. You can create this interactive experience. Now, just from the screenshots that you're seeing back there, you can see how beautiful the renders are. You can see how you understand that the screenshot is placed in a forest, let's say, and basically from just one picture, you can understand the whole story. So this is the whole point from Twinmotion itself. Next, please. So Ram, can you tell us more about the key features in Twinmotion?
Yeah, happy to share that. Thank you so much for the quick insights about the Twinmotion capabilities to it. Before we jump in to see the core specifications or the capabilities of Twinmotion, let's quickly understand what are the key features here. So it's a kind of the data that you're going to push it to your Twinmotion, and where the data comes from is from your Revit model, and that it going to have a seamless interaction with the Twinmotion. Like Tolin mentioned, it's going to be a one-way communication where if any change happens on your Revit model, you would see the change happening on your Twinmotion. But then if you do any sort of the adjustments in the Twinmotions, you don't see them back coming into the Revit. You can have effective communications here. For example, you can talk to the client and also to the various stakeholders, having the thoughts that, for the quite and quick illuminations over here. And you can also just share your design concepts. And you do have a lot of features when it comes into environmental, let's say like the trees or the parking elements, or if it comes into the material, or you can also have a beautiful control of adjusting the sun and shadow settings, which is a common with every render engine that you can see. And the name says emotion, Twinmotion, which means that it's not only like a realistic picture that you see. It's going to deliver the realistic image with the motion animations as well, which means that you have a beautiful the apartment over there, or you are just coming up with the airport projects. You wanted to see how populated in the peak hours, you can just place the maximum number of human objects there, and you're going to see them walking, or they're just running, or just keep the busy as what you think in the real scenario. And also you can have a very good immersive walkthroughs as well over here, because walkthroughs are the most clarified way which can talk to the stakeholders to understand better, to see their design concepts or input, and the weather and time conditions. And you know what? The amazing stuff here, to have a site simulation. You see the models are getting more developed in the Revit, and then when it goes to the construction, so how you going to tackle the simulations? You can have a simulation designed in this Twinmotion, where you can see the crane moves here and there. You can make the sections out of your model, and if you're doing a lot of design phasings, in your Revit model, you're going to see them happening quickly in your Twinmotion, and you can just have a better idea on that. And you can also have a very good interactive experience over here. And let's go to the next slide to see them on the wider range. Great. So what's more option available in the Twinmotion here? Twinmotion does offer the direct one-click synchronization, not only with Revit. Just for your understanding, there are other platforms also integrated with the Twinmotion here. And the other one here is it has got more ability to import the entire scene. For example, you are the experienced 3D visualizer who is using the 3ds Max, or you are the person as a BIM coordinator, or like kind of the reviewer using the Navisworks Manage. Yes, the data from 3ds Max and the Navisworks Manage can be brought into the Twinmotion for the clear understanding of your designs. And not only that, here we have a few of the file types shown from where you can bring them to the Twinmotion. There are scenarios like, some file types can be directly put into the Twinmotion, or there is a workaround. So you can just see the file types which are available. FBX is become very common, and you all know what is SKP is a SketchUp file, and 3ds Max. You do also have the files which you can bring it from your DXF as well. And the another ability here is the cloud. You can also just import the point cloud data here. Point cloud data, if you, I think if the point cloud will consume more spaces, that's what the people just they see to have the common data environment. So you can also have the connection with the common data environment where you can also just streamline the storage spaces to have it for the better future data deck. And you can also have the other set of different outputs, such as like kind of how do you gonna admire the client by producing a lot of panoramic views or 360-degree views, as if you feel like if you are from the developer side, you can just view the 360 view of your model, or if you are from the production side, let's imagine that you are from the Toyota, Honda, or Nissan, and how do you make sure the models are just shown in the 360 degrees and the marketing stuff like that. Yeah, let's go to the next slide. And different platforms and the software inputs. That's what we have seen in the first point here. Not only Revit, you can also just use your AutoCAD, you can also use your 3ds Max, and you can also use your Navisworks, or if any civil infrastructure personas available in this webinar who works on the road projects, road designs and infrastructure projects, you also have the options to bring in the entire the landscape into the Twinmotion for your better visualization purpose as well. Moving to the next slide now, let's see how, since I mentioned in the earlier in this presentation that Twinmotion is a part of AEC collection and also comes along with your Revit individual subscriber. Let's see. That is so-called direct link between the Revit and the Twinmotion. And if you are the conceptual designer who works mostly using the platforms like Format or those stuff, you can take the Format model, put it into Revit, beautify the stuff because for the detailed design, and that detailed design you can push it to the Twinmotion, and that's the way it works there. And for the civil and the infrastructure who works on the wider horizontal projects, with a lot of corridors, with a lot of the parking layouts and those stuff, they can make the model into their Autodesk InfraWorks, where they have to export the model to Twinmotion by FBX format. Yeah. And let's see the other one. Yeah, when you say FBX formats, FBX is very famous from the 3ds Max, and 3ds Max model also can be taken to the Twinmotion with the FBX file format again. Not only this, we have more file formats coming up there. Navisworks Manage, yes. You have the federated beam model, which is done from Revit, and you are just viewing all the class detections, and you wanted to make sure the federated model can be shown as a beautiful realistic to satisfy the client needs as per the design thought. You take the model into the Navisworks Manage, from Navisworks Manage as FBX format, link it to the Twinmotion as well. And it's not limited to that. Still, we have few more. And for AutoCAD users, don't worry. Still, your AutoCAD or the civil engineers who works on the vehicle tracking for the roundabout designs or the roads designs and the slipaway on the highways, and the civil 3D for the infrastructure and underground utilities, plus for the warehouse designs when it comes into the structural, like advanced steel structural, those. All of those are having a proper connection over here, but the file types are changing, but the beautiful reality that can help you to think more and make more business outcomes using the Twinmotion over here. Next one, please. That's a fantastic one here. Recap Pro, Reality Capture. Just a quick thing about the reality capture. Reality capture is a tool again available from Autodesk Solutions, which helps the retrofits, recreations of their projects, expansion of the projects, just to capture the existing site conditions to give you the better idea of to develop your new project. For example, you have the airport there and you wanted to extend the parking, you need to know the existing site condition. Reality capture will capture the entire environment, and it can also give you the benefits of making the parking layout exactly what it is captured from the real site. Yeah, great. And then just we'll take a few minutes for the quick poll here. If you wanted to drop in some thoughts, we have the Q&A chat box open, and don't worry about this webinar deck. It's a usual questions happening with every webinar that we do. You're gonna have the webinar videos posted in the YouTube, and you have the videos ready in the YouTube as well. Yeah. So, we love to hear your poll here. What's your biggest challenge when presenting your Revit designs to your clients? Difficulty conveying the full design intent, or limited visual tools for immersive presentation, delays in approvals due to lack of clarity, stakeholder engagement is minimal, or no major issues, we have a solid workflow. That's amazing to see. No major issues. We have a solid workflow. Fantastic. And we love to hear more from the solid workflow aspects, just to understand that, how we can make it better and more concrete. And limited visual tools for immersive presentations. It sounds like kind of the answers are coming up from the real world example who are struggling to have the tools inbuilt. Difficulty conveying the full design intent. Yes, yeah, that is also there. It's quite of a conversation happens to understand the design concepts. So let's see which comes in more. That's good, fantastic. So now I think we can, yeah, you can see the percentage amount, the percentage more goes to the major issues. So Cholin, what do you think about this first poll here? We have 100% answers polled.
Yeah, so we have okay, so we have more than one person who answered limited visual tools for immersive presentation. I actually agree. This is the problem when we are dealing with let's say rendering softwares and rendering programs. So there's always limited tools that you can use that will help you make your visualization more realistic. However, in Twinmotion, we'll be showing you in a bit how we have all our tools in our hands, which are very easy to use as well. We also had a few answers saying difficulty conveying the full design intent. I also agree. This is where Twinmotion comes in hand because it allows you to add all of the context to the model itself when it has to do with the weather, the geolocation, the time of the day. We also had some few people answer no major issues. We have a solid workflow. Well, I'm happy for you. I hope that this webinar will also help you to take your design to a new level, hopefully. So thank you everyone for answering. I hope, don't worry, this poll is not graded, by the way.
That's great. And yeah, now to know more about the Twinmotion with the help of the other BIM authoring tool called Revit. Yeah. So we have the inbuilt kind of the solution where you can come up with the real-time visualizations using the Revit, and there's a plugin that you need to have. And here I wanted to convey a quick message to you that Revit version is not the same version that you're going to use it for the Twinmotion again. So for example, if you're using Trulin, you can just correct me because you are the powered user who uses the Twinmotion, where I just have some insights from you. That's my real experience, which I discovered is like when I use Revit 2024 and the Twinmotion 2024 is not the equivalent one. So then I discovered that Twinmotion 2023 should be the right one. So in this deck, if anybody had the same experience, you can just share your insights so we can just have the better clarity on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, Jam, if you go to manage.autodesk.com and you type in Twinmotion in the product section, it will take you to the link, which will also help you, and it will tell you which Twinmotion, let's say, which version of Twinmotion is applicable to which version of Revit, which is very helpful, by the way, when you want to install Twinmotion and if you want to install Revit as well. So this will help you. And of course, we can send you that when we send you the recording of the webinar, the link to download Twinmotion, and you can also see which is applicable to your case.
That's
Thank you
good.
for
That's
this
good to know,
background.
Tolin. And I hope the attendees also will receive this well. Yeah. So try to reach out to your administrator and make sure how do you access the icon called Autodesk Access, which have a lot of updates. It keeps says that, which version of your Revit is available with the latest update and which version of Twinmotion is available with the latest update. And not only that, it can also make you to synchronize the models quite in fast. And there are a lot of updates and hotfixes are available in the Autodesk Access, but don't confuse with difference between Autodesk Access and the desktop connector. Both are like kind of a different application. Yeah. Let's go to the technical demonstration here. We're going to show you some of the technical demonstrations here, which is exactly happening on the Twinmotion. So starting from the next slide to show you the link. Yeah. So Revit is having the direct link for the Twinmotion here, and you see a small model that we kept it over created in the Revit, and you're gonna see how the Revit creating the direct link with the Twinmotion and how the auto sync will happen. Yeah, let's play the video there. Fantastic. So every Revit users, they know that, which view that they have to keep it ready for any such kind of the renderings. And that's the way that we also created. And where you can identify the Twinmotion icon, it's available under the view, presentation, Twinmotion. That's where we always jump in to do the renderings, right? And if you see here, the Twinmotion is starting up with the 2023, and it's the direct link one here. And using the direct link, you now see the Twinmotion window is open, and the model from Revit, which you just kept the view ready, the same model that you can see opened in a Twinmotion. And it's just like kind of exploring the model in the Twinmotion. And the left side of the Twinmotion, you can see a lot of libraries available where you can just drag and drop the materials as you need. And the right side that you can see the environmental changes or the property changes that you can see, like it's like amazing auto sync. So because of this auto sync, if you are just doing any other design changes back in a Revit, you can see the same change happening over here in the Twinmotion as well.
Yes.
That's
Also, Ram,
fantastic.
if you can notice that how the model, once you directly link it, you still see it not very realistic yet. So now when we're walking through the videos and we're creating this project together, so we're gonna make it as realistic as possible when adding all of the elements. So now we see it's not very realistic yet. And now when we move through the videos, we're gonna teach you how to add the materials, how to add, let's say, different elements such as vegetation or even people, even vehicles as well. You can add all of these elements. And now, just a tip for you, if we were watching the video together, once I wanted to, let's say, view the model in Twinmotion, you need to be in the 3D view. So just make sure that you are in the 3D view in Revit, so you can then go to view Twinmotion and open it from there. And as you saw, I turned on the autosync button right here. So whenever I do any change in Revit, which will also be showing you, it will be then reflected in Twinmotion itself. If this button was off, all of the changes that you do in Revit will not be reflected in Twinmotion. So if we go next again.
So now
Great.
you see
So
the other elements are coming up. So I think, Tolin, you can take it up on this libraries. Yeah.
perfect. So here we're going to show you the differences between Revit and Twinmotion. So in Revit, I'm just going to add a tree right here, and I have my autosync turned on. So we have our two windows next to each other. So once I added my tree, we can see the direct link and it has been reflected in Twinmotion. We can see how unrealistic it looks. So I'm just going to go to the tree, right click and choose to replace the object. You can just go ahead in the library, scroll down, choose whatever tree you want, and then choose to replace it. We can also change the age. We can change the, let's say, the season this tree is in. We can change the how tall it is, the width of the tree. You can choose whatever vegetation is right there, and with one simple link we can see how we just replace the object that we added from Revit to Twinmotion itself. And if we go to the next video, next please. Great. So once we saw how we can add elements, now we can see how we can add materials. I'm just zooming in to show you how the material looks once we extracted it from Revit itself. So we don't have any textures, any bumps as well. And if I want to change that, I go to the library. We can go to materials. You can scroll down. We have like wood, brick, plastic, fabric as well. There's a lot of surfaces and materials that you can be using. I'm just going to stick with stones. You can scroll down. And when you hover over a material, you can see how it looks. You can change the scale of the material. Just like drag it, drop it, and just choose whatever material you see is applicable to your project. So now I'm zooming in. You can see how we can see the differences of the placement of the materials itself, of the stones. You can change the roughness of that, the bumps. You can make it look metallic, which is going to be reflective. You can change all of the details that has to do with the material until you're satisfied with it. And if we zoom in, we can also see how does the material look inside of the project itself. You can go to the material picker. You can just press on any material that you have in the model itself. Once you clicked on it, just like that, it takes you to the material. You can also drag and drop it. You can choose to change the color of it, of course, the roughness. And here we are. I'm just gonna drag and drop it to the shelves that we have right here. And as simple as that, we have our materials reflected on whatever elements we need. Now, if we go next is a very interesting aspect in Twinmotion, which is the libraries and extensions. Here, we're going to learn about object dropping, vegetation, people, how we can create paths. So on the left, we can see the libraries that we have. So we have different sections such as materials. In the materials, we have vegetation. We can choose trees. So we can scroll down, as I showed you earlier, in the trees itself. You can choose whatever tree that suits you. Just drag and drop it and you're good to go. Now you can change the rotation, the orientation of the tree itself. So I'm just moving around, panning around just to show you how we can change the age. So the age, of course, reflects on the height of the tree itself. So we can choose whatever material that fits us. This is really helpful as well when you're building, let's say, you're creating this landscape space in a residential home, just to see once this tree is aging, if it still fits in the space that you have. And we change the seasons. We can also change the color. You can customize your trees as well. So here we just added this orange tint to it. You can also change it back to the way it was by just going back to the original color it had. So once you're happy with that, we can skip to a different, let's say, element. So we'll go back to libraries, to objects. We also have city elements as well. I'm just gonna go down and grab any bench that I see. I just want to make it look a bit more realistic. So we're adding, again, the more details, elements you add, the more realistic it will look. So we can also go and, let's say, add a trash can. You can add some animals as well. So here we're just dragging and dropping. You can also change, by the way, the scale of the objects you're adding. We can add also some people. So here I'm just curling down. You can also change the pose of the person. So if we go to the person, we can go, let's say, choose setting. The person is sitting, or the person is talking, is speaking.
Which means
There
it's
we
it's a
are.
kind of the very user friendly, and you can also imagine how it gonna be in the real time. For example,
Exactly.
we have seen a lot of 3D visualizers, they spend their brains and they'll just utilize all the time to do the rendering stuff. And at this part,
Exactly.
they can also just give them a fresh breath of understanding their imagination that, okay, it's gonna be like that, or we can come up with a lot more tables, or that gonna be a bollard lights coming on the pavements and stuff. And once the design is ready from your side and the production, you can jump into the wider range. So that's amazing to
Exactly.
have the design connected with your stakeholder.
Exactly. Exactly. Indeed, that's so true. It makes it look very immersive. Just like as we see in the video right here, we populated some, let's say, pedestrians walking down the path. When we go to populate, you choose whether you want to add a character, a bicycle, a vehicle. You just like go down, you drop the first pin, the second pin, and you're good to go. You can also change the density, whether it was for the vehicle path or for the pedestrians path. You can change the lane count, also the way of the direction of the elements that are moving. So here we added like many lanes, which will just keep it. You can keep it 1 or 2, and then you can add another path, let's say. So as you said, Ram, this makes it very immersive. This gives you the whole, when we're designing a certain model or a certain project, we always say, what if it looked like that? What if we added like that? But here, we don't need to say if, we can add the elements that we need, and we can see how will it look later on. So this is very user-friendly. It's very helpful when you're dealing with clients. You can show them all of the different proposals. So this way, we don't lose a lot of our time. We save a lot of money because we actually see the project, how does it look before it's even built. So if I showed you this, you might ask me, is this real? And because you know that this looks very real, I'm just going to tell you, no, this is just a render from Twinmotion itself. So here we're just moving around just to show you how our path looks. Great, so if we go next. Next, please. Now we learned how to create all of these elements together, how to add materials, how to add vehicles, people. Now we're going to learn how to touch up our design. Touching up is through lighting. So let's create this room together. So we have an empty room. Let's make this a bedroom. So we need a bed. So we're just going to go to bedroom, to beds. You can choose whatever bed you need. And just as simple as drag and drop, you have your bed ready. I'm just going to show you how quickly we can create a bedroom together. So imagine how we can create a whole project. Now, once we have our bed right here, if I want to change, let's say the blanket or the pillow cover, we just go to the materials, to fabrics. We have a lot of fabrics to choose from. And as I showed you, we can customize our fabrics or any material that we want. You can choose the color that you need, that you see is appealing. Each fabric, of course, has its own texture, has its own characteristics. So I'm also changing the pillow colors. So Ram, as you can see, it's very easy, very simple, and as fast as that, we're creating a bedroom. Now, once we're done with the bed, we can also change or add, let's say, more elements just to make it look a bit more homey. We're going to go back to objects, to the bedroom, storage. We can add, let's say, 2 bedside tables. So, and when you add the ready, let's say, elements that we have, if you zoom in, you can see the level of detail. So now we have this mobile phone, we have this vase. The vase has its reflective properties since it's made out of glass. We can also add some lighting. So we're just going to add a lamp right here. We can also change the orientation of the lamp. Now, the lamp, you need to add the specific lighting to that as well. So if we go inside of the lamp, it's still not turned on. We can also add, let's say, a bit more elements. We can add a mirror, let's say. So if you can't find what you're looking for, you can just type in the element that you want to add. So here we added a mirror. We can change the scale of the mirror as well. Let's say we want to make it longer, wider. So, and as easy, or you can just change the whole, let's say, dimensions. So now we have our mirror, we can move it around. As simple as that, we have all of our elements ready. Now, for the mirror itself, we can also choose the reflective properties. Now, if we want, we can add some hidden lights just to show you how will it look. So we just drop down. We searched for the type of lighting we need. And I'm just going to move it a bit backwards. And you can change the intensity of the light. So this way we're changing the intensity so we can see how different it might look, the intensity, the strength. So here it's covering, let's say, 5 meters. You can also change the color, the temperature. So this is just to show you how the lighting will reflect all over the bedroom. We can also add a lighting for the lamp that we added together. So I'm just going to add this light and just move it around so it will be placed in the right place. We can change again the intensity, the cone angle, the color, the temperature.
Also, to add a point, Tolin, here, the Adobe Substance also well integrated here. You know, if you have any materials from the Adobe, you do also have the option to bring them Adobe Substance over there, and you have a lot of other various materials as well. And if you ask that, you know, after applying all the material, the fabric and everything, how do the design gonna change? You know, just like that, it's very quick, easy. And if a person who needs to have the final output before they go for the production, all right, so you can just imagine how hurried they are, and you can just do the model from your side, and you're going to see them quickly getting updated here. And moreover, when you're just working in a Twinmotion, wherever you just, you know, rotate and see through the window, you still see the environmentals are still active. You could see the trees. If you have the settings set, like, you know, the leaves are falling from the tree, or the cars are just moving around, the people are walking around, you can also just see them, the environmental is very active.
Indeed, indeed. Exactly. And other than the other materials, there's also more than one type of libraries that you can also be using in Twinmotion itself. So there's Megascan, there's a library from Twinmotion, there's a couple of more libraries as well. So here we can see the bedroom is ready. If Isabel, if you can hover over the video just to show you how many minutes it took. So I believe it took 3 minutes or 4 minutes just to create a bedroom together. So as simple as that, as fast as that, we have this realistic bedroom with some lighting, with some different materials. Now, once we showed you how we can create that, let's teach you more about the output. So in the output, we're going to learn about the scenes, the renders, weather, time of the day, the background. So here, this is an outdoor section of the house. So we have our pool. You can see how the water is also moving along with that. So we can create a shot together. You can just like pan around, orbit, just to make sure that your shot is okay. I'm just showing you different shots that we took from the model itself. You can see how the weather can be changed. So here we can see it's becoming a bit more rainy and how it is when it's more sunny. You can see how the floor is wet as well when it's rainy. So it looks very realistic, honestly. And we can see the different seasons. So if it's winter, you can see this snow, and we can also see the trees, how they're being affected by the weather. So this here it's winter, so the leaves have fallen down. And just like that, we can see how we can change the weather, as simple as that, honestly. And of course, we can also add the location, the time of the day. You can change the HDRI environment, so we can change the skies. So we can go to the HDRI environment. You can choose whether it's an approaching storm is coming. You can change the sky where you want it low, morning, afternoon, noon, cloudy, clear. We have so many options that you can be using actually. So these options will also affect the shadows that we have. We can change the horizon as well. So if we were in the city, or you can change that to make it look as if we're in a desert. So everything is fully customizable to your own needs. using only a few clicks, and you're good to go. You can change the sun intensity as well, which will be reflected on the shadows. You can change all of these details. So as simple as that. Now, once you're happy with your selection, we can also change the camera, the focal length of the camera, the depth of the camera. You can also change the render, which is the intensity, the shadows. You can change these as well if you want to make them more intense, less intense. You can also add some filters to that. You can change the color grading. And of course, you can choose which format you want to export these shots. So here we have different shots. You can choose to export them, and you have your renders ready and good to go. So if we go next. Next again. So next is a walkthrough. So this walkthrough was created using the model that we have created together. So we created this walkthrough from scratch. We can see how, if you want to view it, let's say from a drone, so no need to buy drones now. We can create these shots using Twinmotion. We can also see how we can walk through our whole project. We can see all of the elements that we added. We can also change the times of the day walking through the project itself.
The motion looks very slower and not clearer here, but don't think in a wrong way that the rendering is not that good quality, because it's a video. We put it on the PowerPoint and we are just shared it in the online, so that's the real. But if you want to see the unreal capability of using this Twinmotion, you will see it with your real experience. Like the motion tree is very quick and real, and it just takes you a tour inside your model. You may think that the design concept is ready and you're going to propose the design, but by looking into this Twinmotion, you may come up with a lot more design changes, and it's going to be like thinking more that have you done the design or ready yet to just produce more of the design intent actually. You have the weather settings and the time and date, the background, and the very good walkthrough. And you can also just understand the flow of people. Just imagine that you are doing this kind of the experiences for the crowded area, like in the shopping mall, airports, hospitals, and the schools. It can also make you better understand of the crowd, the amount of crowd, and then how the traffic flows are coming up here. And end of the day, all are happening under one set of your user credential, which is using the Revit subscription and the AEC subscription as well.
Exactly. So in the walkthrough, you can see all of the reflections from the mirrors. You can see the pool, the lighting inside of the pool. There's also a fire. We can also see how we have fruits on the trees. So I'm telling you all of these details just to see how interactive it is. Even when I walk through the door, it's opened for me. We can also see some animals as well. So there's a cat, we can add some butterflies, all of these small details that will make a huge difference when you're showing these to the client. So I'm just zooming in inside of the grass just to show you how even the grass is moving with the air, with the wind. So as Ram said, the quality, because it's placed on PowerPoint, actually, it lessens from the quality itself. However, you will see when you're using Twinmotion how the quality is very high. Here we're just changing the times of the seasons, different times of the day, how it will be reflected in the video itself. So we're facing all of these seasons. We can see how the floor is also reacting to the different seasons. Here we have the sunset. You can see the shadows, the lighting. So as simple as that, we have our walkthrough ready, we have our project ready, we can see how the light is interacting with the interior spaces, exterior spaces, whether we want to add more lighting or like remove some of the lighting fixtures if we want less lighting. And yes, so basically this was the technical demo for today. So if we go next.
Yeah, I wanted to just top in a little bit here. If
Mhm.
you are more interested to get the hands-on experience, either with your existing projects or we can just come over to your office, we just do a normal quick workshop in your office, gathering all the dedicated personas who are interested on this visual and virtual realities. Yes, and also not only the Twinmotion over here, we also just make out the workshops how the virtual reality also can connect with your Twinmotion, and then you can just admire the stakeholders with and to be more competitive in the VR workflow process actually. This is again talking about more of the sectioning perspective. For example, you know that the model is developed in the Revit, and Revit itself have the section capabilities. But when it comes into the Twinmotion, you also have the feature to make the section out of your model and view how the MEP services are just placed, and what could be the clashes in future may come up if you make up more services, like kind of adding additional cable tray. Is there a space, or do you want to communicate with your structural engineer to talk more about having the space under the beam? And those of the section details are also available over here. And the next slide will show you more about the design phasing, actually, like kind of how the phasing also can be done over here. Yeah, this is the phasing over here. Let's say the construction phase, for example. Look at the cranes and the other building materials of just getting ready for the construction over here. And you're now looking at how the simulation is just happening quick, which comes first, which comes second, and just to understand the phasing of your projects, where it will help you to think about the costing, the material wastage, optimizing the time, and coming up with a very great minds ideas, put it together to make sure the model is ready on time, within the budget, and it feels to have the more streamlined work phase as well. That's amazing here. Yeah. And
Ram,
this
this can also be shown in the building itself. So it's something to be proud of, actually. If you're building, let's say, a certain museum or a certain, let's say,
that's true.
tower, this is gonna look very nice when you also place it in there.
That's great. That's great. Amazing. Yeah. And that comes up with more the other way of design, the other way of different materials, because this phasing looks from the building structure side, it doesn't have much of material unless it focus more of the building components like a wall door, window, furniture. And when it comes into the more architectural perspective, when you see like kind of a more complex design perspective, you see a lot of changes happening over there. The model which have the lot of facade design, the models which have a lot of like horizontal projects with the more graphical environments of your contours. Yeah, just coming to that point. Look at this now here, just how just kind of a theme building up within that community over there. And oh, look at that. Just like the kind of the transport systems also that you can just meditate over there. So
Mm.
just like making more appealing and more visualizing point of view that. And the main focus of this webinar today to you personas, just to think about using the Twinmotion for your projects, which is already a part of your Revit subscription, which is already a part of your AEC subscription, just to give it a try. And if you need to have a live workshop with your design team, pass it across this information to the design team and let them understand that, okay, Twinmotion is now the part of AEC collection, which is a part of Autodesk, and there are people also available to educate and make more advancing with your visualizations as well. That's amazing. Yeah. Now, moving to the next slide. Yeah, the image what you see here is the real image from the Twinmotion, which is from the beautifully textured, rendered with all the detailed material happening over here, right? And learning Twinmotion is not that tough. It's very easy just to understand that, where to just click and play around. That's it. You know, to have the experience of using your, I could say that computer, keyboard, and the mouse. That's it. And yeah, the next slide. Wow, this is again another image shows that how beautifully it is been textured and also just assembled with the catering of different materials over here, right? You have the sufficient materials available over here where you can just match it out as per your seasons actually, day or night or rainy season, something like that. Yeah, the next slide. And not only, so don't be offended that, why it just fully focused towards the architectural and building design. For the production and the manufacturing stuff, also you can come up with a lot of designs over there. And Twinmotion also supports the Adobe Substance material as well. So you are just good to go with the material from your other portfolios as well. Moving to the slide. Yeah, fantastic. So now this shows again a kind of the seamless integration with your data. When I say data, that could be your major AutoCAD 2D drafting projects, or it could be a major of BIM projects using the BIM authoring tool like Revit, and then the other modeling tools as well here. This the photorealistic one, and also you have a Twinmotion cloud where you can share your design ideas to the entire project team to get their design intents to be put it on the same bucket list to make out the amazing future what you see on the slide at the right side here. So the output could be a photorealistic image. The output can be a kind of the rendered video. The output can be a kind of mix and match videos for the productions, and it's a real time that you can experience with. All right, so the next slide will be the very important slide for this webinar, which is the Q&A. So we love to hear your questions and see how we can just answer it here, or would that be giving us a chance to meet you personally to have a footprint in your office to drive through this workshop in the real time. Let's quickly check on the Q&A. There is a question which is like kind of, can we download this model along watching this webinar, or is there any link? Yeah. You get to see this video posted in the LinkedIn, and that LinkedIn video will take you to the YouTube as well. So this is not just only the webinar where we do it and we'll just unplug from here. No, we are still connected with you in the LinkedIn, and also every series of our webinar. I think this is our fourth series, I believe. Actually, this is our fourth series. We started from what is the AAC collection of package, and then we saw that how the Revit and the other softwares along with the AAC collection works, and then we just went through the BIM standards and streamlining the project with the so-called ISO 19650. That was our last webinar, happened last month, and this month, May, we have this webinar. And stay connected with us. You're gonna have a lot more series of webinars in the upcoming months. How will 2D CAD looks like when it is imported into Twinmotion? Yeah, the 2D CAD, it's also just kind of a 2D sketches over here, and there is a way of bringing the 2D import CAD into the Twinmotion, and the more work that you have to work on the AutoCAD. So I can just rephrase in that way, not into the 2D CAD, just think about Civil 3D. If you want to make it more realistic, use that Civil 3D for the roads and infrastructure, underground utilities, or you just also start using the InfraWorks for your projects and make them as a DXF file, bring it to your Twinmotion. That's where you're going to apply the materials in the Twinmotion to make the look and feel of your 2D drafting projects as well. We have another question saying that during exporting videos, there's a lot of flickering of light bouncing happens in Twinmotion. Is there any way to sort it out? I would say that we need to just understand there are a lot of other settings that we need to just play around with. So I think that is easily can be fixed over here. And then it is also just depends upon the type of the light that you are using. The light should have the parameters understanding the IEC so that it will just have the proper parameters to what. That's amazing and interesting question here. And that's good. That really shows that, people are using the Twinmotions here. Configuration of machine, that's fantastic. So the configuration of a machine, I would say that if you are using Revit already for a large scale of your projects, where you use your Navisworks for your class detections, I think that should be quite enough to use this Twinmotion, because Twinmotion, basically what it needs to have a proper graphic engine. That's the same graphic engine that you are going to use it for your Revit 3ds Max or a Navisworks Manage. I think the configuration wise it's more good. In a general way, the configuration which you use for your Revit projects, which you see that it works fine, you can take that as a Twinmotion as well. Yes, you have the trial version. You have the trial version available for the complete 30 days with the unlocked features of your complete Twinmotion. You can give it a test drive, or if you want us to come and create the workflow for you, we are also happy to help you on that, just to have the connection between your Revit models and to the Twinmotions as well. That's amazing.
Great.
That's amazing. So yeah, we are into the last minute of this webinar. We could see that maybe a lot of questions to be asked over here due to lack of time, and also the time we kept it between the 1 to 2 lunch break. So that is also again the consideration. And just to have a better idea here, what do you think the preferred time to have you here to attend this webinar? That would be a really appreciating stuff for us to think about, to initiate it on the upcoming webinars over here. I mean, the timing, do you prefer to have this kind of webinars in the morning time, or in the mid of the day, or in the afternoon time, or just to have a better understanding? Because we normally receive the feedbacks from the people to have these webinars in the first half, especially between 11 to 12 or 12 to 1 UAE time. So just to have a better idea about this webinar. That's great. Amazing. Cool.
Great. So thank you everyone for attending today's session. Thank you, Ram, for your
I
insights.
appreciate the comment. Yeah, we have the timing given between 11 to 12 or 10 to 11 would be a perfect time. That's amazing. Yeah, we are on the right track. Thank you so much for the response, and stay connected. You're gonna have a lot of other webinars gonna come up in the upcoming months, and feel free to contact us. So we have Cholin, who's from the Accienta side, was joined together for this webinar, and myself from Reddington, who just delivered this webinar together. Just reach out to us for the better insights. Let's work together. Thank you so much, everyone who attended this webinar.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.